welcome to another video of Ian's Garage. I wanted to show today a very simple DIY body repair. I've got a scuffed and chipped bumper on this little Fiat and I'm going to have a go at repairing it myself. So this is it. Lots of paint peeling off, quite thick chips and scratches in it. I'm going to sand it down, use a bit of body filler on it and then paint over it and see how it comes out. So I'm going to start sanding this down. I'm using a very rough sandpaper first. It's a 60 grit. If you don't know, the lower the number on there, the firmer it is. You start with a rough grit to get rid of it, but that will leave scratches. So then you work your way up in the numbers, finishing with something like well, that's a 120, but I'll finish on probably a 320 or 500 grit to get a smooth finish.
So far, so good.
This is how you get this body filler. You get a paste like that, you get some hardener, and you want to use about, say, a golf ball size of this paste with about a pea-sized drop of that hardener and mix it thoroughly till all the colour's consistent. That'll then set within about 5 minutes, so once it's done you need to use it quickly, so it's best to do small bits at a time. Now I'm just giving it a bit of a clean before I use the body filler. It needs to be a nice clean surface for the filler to go on. A bit more than the golf ball of paste, so I'm using a bit more than a pea size of filler. That's about right. Of the hardener, I mean. It's important to mix it thoroughly so it's all a consistent colour, else it will just dry in parts where it's pink. It's exactly what they'd use if you took it to a car body shop. They're just professionals and I'm not. I was using this decorator's tool to mix it. It's fine for mixing, it doesn't put it on very well. So I'm using what came with the filler, this plastic spatula. It's a lot more flexible, it'll go on a lot smoother. We'll finish putting the filler on. Work with this as quickly as you can because it dries quickly. Maybe on a warm day you've got 2 or 3 minutes. On a day like today it's not too hot, so you might have 5, 6, 7 minutes until it starts to set. I haven't done the best job of it. Get this as smooth as you can. You sand it down afterwards with sandpaper, but the smoother you get this, the better. It takes a lot less time. The sanding takes ages to get smooth. But I'm going to leave that now for maybe an hour to set, and then I'll start sanding it down. Then after that will come some primer, some paint and then some lacquer. We've left this for a while. You can tell when it's dry. If you push your fingernail in, it doesn't really make a mark. You know that it's dry. So this is quite dry now. So I'm going to start sanding this down, get it smooth as I can. Then it'll be time for the primer. This is about halfway through the sanding process, I'd say. It's getting there, quite smooth, but you can see all the scratches. So I've got to go over it with a much finer grit sandpaper first. Then it'll be ready for primer. We've got it all masked up, ready for primer.
always wear a mask when using paints.
With all the coats of paint, whether it's the primer or the base coat or the lacquer, you want to build it up just slowly. Start with a light dusting, maybe 2, 3, 4 coats a little bit at a time, otherwise it runs and it looks really bad afterwards. When you spray painting, it's important to keep moving the can as you spray. If you try and spray it in one area, it just drips and it looks awful. So it's had 4 coats of primer now. Once that's dry properly, I'm going to give it a very, very fine sand again with that 1200 grit sandpaper, probably a wet sand, to get rid of any imperfections, and then it's ready for the base coat. The base coat, the colour of this one is called broom yellow. This is all dry, slightly rough. I've got the 1200 grit, very, very fine sandpaper. Just going to sand that down, then I'm going to start with the base coat. Just before the base coat goes on, now I've sanded it and cleaned it down. I'm using a tack cloth. This is only about 50p. It's a sticky kind of emery cloth, and it will just remove any surface dust, any imperfections that will show through on the base coat. So I'm going to rub it down with this. This is almost finished now. It's a little tip here, got some little imperfections, but it's just minor scratches from the past. So I've got the paint open, spray a bit of paint into the lid, got this artist brush, and I'll just touch up the little bits. Last job now, clear lacquer, paint over where I've done, again a few light coats, build it up gradually, 2, 3, 4 coats of the lacquer, and then I'll remove the masking and show you the finished job.